Hi and welcome to the Market Alert for Thursday the 28th of August 2025. So stocks closed green as eyes turned to NVIDIA earnings, which were released of course after the market closed last night. And the US eked mild gains heading into NVIDIA earnings, although the futures then wobbled despite the AI darling beating on top and bottom lines. And then NVIDIA released their results. And I just have to move this down so that you can see there. And it says NVIDIA shares fell 4% after the bell following the results. So a bit of a disappointment there for NVIDIA, which obviously sent the S&P a bit lower as well. Economic news for today. We've got prelim GDP for the US, unemployment claims, prelim GDP price index, pending home sales, and FOMC Waller is going to be speaking as well. Okay, with that, let's have a look at the markets, particularly the US markets following the release of the NVIDIA earnings, which say 4% down. Bit of a disappointment, but don't let that put you off what you're going to see in the charts. So kicking off with the Dow, didn't make a lot of difference, did it? Because overnight the market is moving higher, despite that 4% drop in earnings. Just gloss over it, push it to one side and send the markets back to the all-time highs, which you can see that we're not too far off with regards to the Dow. It makes you wonder how much longer this can be sustained, particularly, the situation geopolitically and all the rest of it. And here we go. NVIDIA, which is one of the darlings of the stock market at the moment, particularly of the S&P, because that's where it's traded through. I'm sure it's traded in the NASDAQ as well, but yeah, these all-time highs continue, and you're probably going to see some more today. They'll find an excuse and run the market on the back of that. So yesterday, the cash market moved higher. They released the numbers from NVIDIA, which you can see there, straight down, straight back within 30 minutes, and now above yesterday's high that was made before the release of those NVIDIA numbers. You just see it there. So let's have a look at the German DAX reaction, which slightly different reaction. So yesterday, the weakness continued that we've seen for the last 3 days, but overnight the market trading back off that 89% retracement and managing to get back through the 78 as well. So let's get rid of that and let's have a bit of a markup on the upside, feeling a bit optimistic about the market reversing today off these negative moves that we've seen for the last few days. So there's some upside targets in the daily chart. We'll just keep those in place. And of course, failing that, if we take out yesterday's low, we'll obviously then have to redraw on the downside. But given the fact that we've dropped for 3 days straight and the market trying to reverse there in the US, obviously poised to make new all-time highs in the Dow and the S&P 500, which we'll look at in just a moment, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a bit of a sort of a short squeeze moving back to the upside there. 30-minute chart, it was sell off all the way from the start. Lunchtime the market moved lower, then the Dow futures moved lower. We did manage to trade sideways during the afternoon, but then in the evening NVIDIA, massive electronic move to the downside, and we managed to push up off there. We need to stay above the DP in order to head back to yesterday's high as far as the German DAX is concerned. We've got a bit of an overbought situation here at the moment, but again that can soon be sorted if we trade down to the close. The only problem is if we go through the close, we are likely to retest yesterday's low, like I've just mentioned. And there you can see we've got a bit of supply overbought, and we've got a parabolic red just starting to move down there as well. So if you wanted to find out where the market's likely to pull back to, if it does continue lower, then there's some downsides on an intraday basis there, where the prices are likely to find some support, particularly at the close, which you can see there is also tying in with the golden ratio of the 62% retracement. And in the US, in fact, we had a new all-time high yesterday. I've just noticed this. Let me just move this one out of the way. And I think we have a new all-time high, and we do indeed. We're up 4 points there before the release of the NVIDIA numbers. So S&P continues despite the 4% drop, but that was made before the numbers were released, I suspect. Let's just have a look at the 30-minute chart. No, it was made just prior to the release of the NVIDIA numbers and prices there moving down overnight, but recovering quite nicely there as well, and starting to move to the upside there. So yeah, new all-time high in the S&P 100. FT100, Europe struggling a bit at the moment, so sideways range developing there for the FT100. And obviously as we get into next month, it'll be speculative news all the time with regards to what Rachel from accounts is going to do in her autumn statement. But yesterday, prices moving lower, sideways. Then the NVIDIA, again, you can see them buying back in here, massive buying, and bringing the market back to the DP on the overnight there. So the US dollar's reaction was to sell off there, but overnight, bit of stability. We're still stuck in a sideways range here in the US dollar, still waiting for Powell this next month to see how much he's going to cut rates. Let's have a look at the metals. And yesterday, silver battered, but overnight, despite the 4% drop in NVIDIA, which also uses a lot of silver, prices managing to move up there. 30-minute chart, so you can see yesterday they couldn't help themselves. Twice the market was pummeled to the downside, but we see the buying coming back in there, and then the market moving back to the upside above yesterday's high at the moment. The question is, will it be allowed to hold there? But it was a really good recovery yesterday, moving all the way down here and then all the way back and then up overnight. In the gold market, this too starting to move up as well, still stuck in a sideways range, but the range is becoming narrower than we'd previously seen. Now you could look at that that way. So again, we're heading to the upside. We've got from here down to here, we're at 89%. We've got to break the 3,400 level in order to move higher. 30-minute chart, very choppy yesterday morning, but we broke on the upside. Overnight, been a bit of selling in Asia until we got to this bar here, where we saw some buying come back in, crossover in stochastics, and the momentum moving back to the upside. But I expect this to be sideways to lower during today. In the gold-silver ratio, silver performing better than gold. As you can see there, we've got the red there, so 87.58. Right, let's have a look at yesterday's Dax, which was rather disappointing as far as trying to get back on the upside with the market moving lower. So let's see how it panned out. So in the pre-market session, prices were drifting lower, and then we got to 7 a.m. You see the volume change there and come in at the DP. Prices trying to hold and move to the upside. Another shakeout there, and then getting quite erratic for the cash market, which was sideways for some time, and then it gave a sell signal that broke through the DP, and then prices continuing to the downside till we see the buying coming in here. That stopped the downside, short covers, and the market moving sideways to higher. We trade back up towards the 50 EMA, and we manage just to get through the 20 bar, but then prices reverse off this with some more selling, and then you can see there we had a potential buy signal that wasn't filled, and then prices capitulated back to the downside, and there again you can see another spike in volume, some profit taking coming in here, and then prices drifting down to the S1, and another big spike to the downside to get a few to go short, pick up the limit orders, and then we say okay, let's go and test the low. So the low was tested again, another spike in the prices there, and again see the buying coming in once more at the low as they try and bring the market back off this level, which they succeed this time. But you can see on the way down, you get these spikes in volume as the market takes the short orders and the momentum to the downside until we get the stopping volume, narrower bar on higher volume at the low. The market then is brought back, as you can see as we move forward. So we get back above the low, and then the market trades sideways all the way through to the Dow futures, which show some weakness. The DAX follows this down to the low once more, and again you get your little green volume bars there showing that they're testing the market, and then we open a bit higher, with the US market up to the 50 EMA, and then prices relent once more. We get the spikes to the downside where they come in and just offload a few contracts. Then we get back to the low and we see the buying coming back at this level as well with a bounce off it, but it doesn't last long as the market then puts in another sell signal, and this time again they try to buy back at the low, but this time it fails as the market then moved lower, awaiting the NVIDIA numbers. We start to have a bit of a rally back after the close of the Dax to the upside there, waiting for those numbers and then stuck in a sideways range. So currently the markets are sideways to lower down to that DP that we looked at earlier. We've got quite a bit of volume around at the moment as well. We've not got to 7 a.m. It's currently 6:45, so another 15 minutes before we get the market moving back to the upside. I suspect moving back to the upside. Let's just have a look and see what we've got. We got the 200 MA there. The DP is a good area, close and the low. So we could actually see a test of the low before we start to make our way back. As long as the futures move higher in the US, that will lend support to the market for the DAX. But at the moment, say we're at the DP and you can see they're trying to buy back in here at the moment. Right, that's it for this one. Let's see how the day pans out. A few economic news items and see what geopolitical news we get as well. So with that, have a great day, and as ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.